So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I've been speedrunning my local SEO agency from 0 all the way up to 10k a month as you can say a complete beginner. I have started in the last 2 weeks and I've signed already 3 clients with 1 more client left in the pipeline. So hopefully in the next week or so that jumps to 4. And essentially I wanted to document this entire process so that I can look back on it maybe in a year or so. But also I wanted this to be a guide for others who might want to do something similar to myself. So this video is going to be incredibly tactical. You're going to learn a lot, even if you already do have a business. I'm going to show you guys exactly like the tools that I use, how I'm signing clients, and also how I'm going to be ranking for these clients. And with all those 3 things, you should be good enough to go and start closing clients for yourself. So I got my presentation up. In case you didn't know who I am, my name is Ryhan. I'm 22 years old. I'm from London. And for the past 2 years, I've been working in market research and in recruitment. Now, I learned a lot from these jobs, particularly sales, right? And it was valuable because it taught me how to approach people who are completely cold, people that have never heard of me before. And so I decided that instead of working for someone else, right, working on someone else's business, I'm better off just utilizing those skill sets in my own business. And so I decided to do that. I decided to start my own agency, a local SEO agency. Now, the reason why I chose local SEO is because local SEO is just incredibly easy to do. You don't need to be like an expert SEO. You don't need to have all these black hat and grey hat strategies. All you need to do is just follow a few SOPs, a simple step-by-step checklist, and you're good to start ranking for your clients' business or your own business, right? It doesn't really matter. All you just need to do is just follow a step-by-step process and you're good to go. The hard part is actually securing the clients, getting the clients in the first place. If you can do that though, it's basically just guaranteed revenues, guaranteed monthly recurring revenue. So that's the good thing, right? Now there's a few tools that makes this process of selling and closing clients easier, right? The tool that I use is one called localrank.so. And the basic premise of it is that it's a scanning tool, right? It allows businesses to see where they currently rank across a radius, right? So let's say, for example, you run a barbershop in the center of London and you want to know where your barbershop ranks in a 2, 5 or 10 mile radius. With local rank, you can essentially do that, right? You just put in your business's location, put the URL, and then you just do a 5 mile scan, and then from it you're going to be able to see where you currently rank. So like this one, for example, it ranks position number 1 here, but over here it ranks in position number 13. And what that tells you is that there's work that needs to be done to increase the ranking here from 13 all the way up to 1, right? It's a visual representation of the problems that your business currently has and what you need to do to start ranking and improve that. And so the reason why this helps, especially on sales calls, is because business owners want to know that you are someone who knows what they're doing, right? They want to make sure that they're in good hands. And using tools like this, that's visual, that shows the problem very clearly, they're going to trust you more. They're going to see you as the person in authority, right? Especially when you have features like shareable links whereby you can send them consistently. So what you could do with local rank is you can do a scan before you jump on the sales call, and then you show the scan to them, and then you can say to them, hey there, I've identified these issues with your business. This is what we can do, so on and so forth. If you sign with me, if you work with me as a client, you're going to be getting these consistent scans and these consistent reports on a daily or a weekly basis, right? If you say stuff like that, clients are more likely to trust you and they're more likely to close with you. In fact, this is what I did myself to be able to close my first client, which was a laser hair removal clinic at the center of London, which if you know anything about healthcare, it's very, very difficult to close them because they're usually much more suspicious, right? They get pitched all the time and they're kind of more fussy. They're more like technical minded. And so they're more aggressive with the questioning. With stuff like local rank, they're more likely to trust you. So as I was saying, right, Landing clients is the hard part. Stuff like tools like localrank.so makes it much more easier. But the other thing that you can do that makes closing clients easier is your pitch, right? The pitch that I specifically use, the one that helped me close 3 to 4 clients, is pay me only when you start to rank. Now, a lot of people will disagree with this. A lot of them will say doing free work is bad, and in some scenarios I actually agree with that, but in local SEO I don't. The reason for that is, number one, if you're a beginner, you have no case studies and you don't have any leverage. And leverage is very important when it comes to business, right? If you don't have leverage, you're going to be taken advantage of, right? People are more likely to just shove you away, even if you have very competitive prices. So what you need to do is get the business owners, get your clients' guards down, right? Get the leads guard down. And so by saying pay me only when you start to rank, they're more likely to start considering you. The second thing, the reason why this is so effective and this makes sense economically, is because, as I was saying at the beginning, ranking is the easy part. It's so easy that you can basically guarantee it, right? And essentially, when you do close the client and you do rank for them, they are more likely to stay on with you. And so what I say on each and every single one of my sales calls is, look, I'm going to rank for you. When I do start ranking for you, you need to start paying something, and we can negotiate it, but you need to start paying something, or else I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to remove all the work that I did, and your rankings are going to drop. If you say stuff like this, they're going to understand that they can't take advantage of you. And so, as I was saying, using pitches like pay me only when you start to rank is it's an easy way to lower the barrier of entry. And so if you do this, if you use stuff like localrank.so, all you need to do is do maybe 10 or 20 targeted calls and one yes for your case study flywheel to start, right? Once you have a bunch of case studies, you have more leverage and you can start to charge people on the front end without having to do free work. And you just repeat the entire process. So that's how I'm landing clients. It makes the entire sales process easier. And as you get more experience, as the business grows, you're going to be able to start charging more premium prices. Now, let's say, for example, you followed everything that I said, right? You got localrank.so, you started pitching clients, and your pitch was pay me only when you start to rank, and you close your first client. The question then becomes like, how do I actually deliver results? How do I actually rank for this business? Now, you need to understand there's a few prerequisites. Number one is the business's location has to be optimized, right? The business's location has to be local to where the customers live, right? Because if a business lives on the outskirts of London and their customers are based in the center of London, they will essentially just never rank, right? Because they're just so far away. So the business's location has to be optimized. And the business needs to have reviews, right? Because if a business doesn't have reviews, people are not going to trust them. So as long as the business has those two things, you're good to start ranking for your client. Now, the first thing that you need to do is making sure that the name, address, and phone number of the business is consistent across the entire internet. Now, what do I mean by that? Basically, there's things called citations. Citations are just a fancy word for references across the internet. Think of directories, think of yellow pages, think of Yelp, right? Your client's business's information has to be consistent across the entire internet. If there's one discrepancy, like a typo or a lack of a phone number on one of these citations, Google sees that as suspicious and they essentially penalize your client or your business, right, in the rankings. So you need to make sure the information of the business is consistent across the entire internet. The second thing is you need to make sure you have more citations across the entire internet. So the more citations you have, the more you rank on Google. It's just a very simple and basic rule that you need to follow, right? The third thing is each citation needs to be high quality, right? So the more high quality citations you have, the more you rank, right? Those are the three you can call principles of local SEO. Consistent information, more citations, and more quality citations. Each citation has to be of high quality. Let's say, for example, you did all of that. The information is consistent across the entire internet, and you had a bunch of high quality citations, but the business's rankings didn't improve. The next thing you can do is something called private blog network boosts. Now, typically you need to pay for these, but essentially these are really effective because they're a bunch of high quality websites that interlink with each other, and essentially getting your business submitted on one of these networks again sends a lot of brand signals to Google, and essentially they reward you again when it comes to ranking locally. And then finally, if private blog networks don't improve your rankings, then what you can finally do is get the business submitted on a local guest post. And again, you need to pay for this, but it's very effective. Very effective. So effective that I wouldn't even recommend doing this straight away. I'd recommend doing citations first, private blog networks, and then local guest posts, right? But those are the three things that gives a business more authority, I guess you can say, right? More positive brand signals for Google to start ranking the business locally. The next thing you need to understand is a business needs to have a lot of activity. So basically, if you sign your first client, you need to start telling your client that every single day before they go to work, they need to start searching up the business's information on Google every single day in the morning. And the reason for that is because, again, Google sees that as, positive brand signals. People are interested in this business, and therefore Google is going to rank the business higher. And so get them to search up the brand and the keyword, and then press enter, and then click on the website, click on the Google business profile, and that's all you need to do. It takes about 10 seconds, really. Do that every single day consistently, and the rankings of the business should start climbing up slowly. Finally, having consistent updates on your Google My Business post, right? So this doesn't have much of an effect on rankings, but what this does is it convinces people to go with your business as opposed to the other one, right? Because if a business is very active when it comes to staying up to date with their business profile, customers are more likely to go with that business, right? They're more likely to trust them. So if you do all of those things, right, if you get a lot of citations that are high quality and they're consistent across the entire internet, and there's a lot of click-through rate optimization, so searching the Google's business profile on the internet, right, Google will start rewarding the business. And what that essentially does is it increases foot traffic, more happy customers, and then overall more sales, more cash for the business. Now, I just gave you all the factors that helps a business rank higher on Google, but there's some factors that are more important, right? So if you mess up on these, you are essentially just shooting yourself in the foot. And those two factors are the reviews and the consistent information across the entire internet. So, as I was saying, you need to make sure that the business has a lot of reviews and they're real. But the thing is, always manually asking customers to give a review is tiresome and it's inconsistent. And so what I found to be very effective is having a automated system that generates reviews autopilot, right? So this avoids you having to go out to each and every single customer and asking them for a review, right? Doing that just makes your life easier and your clients' life easier. The second thing is making sure, again, that the information of the business is consistent across the entire internet. If you do those two things, as well as everything else, honestly, Google will boost you so high that you're going to start ranking in the snap pack, which is the top 3. So, as I was saying, it's very simple. It's very easy. You don't need to be like an SEO expert. You just need to follow these step by step and you're good to start, right? You're good to go. You're literally able to now go out, call businesses, pitch them, close them, and start ranking for them, right? And generating results for them. Now, as I was saying, initially, if you're starting off, you're probably going to be doing some free work. But once you start generating those results, businesses are going to be wanting to keep you on long term. And then now that you have leverage, you're able to start bumping your retainers from nothing to 500 to $1,500 per month, right? Now let's talk about the economics of it, right? How is it that we're going to be hitting 10K a month with local SEO? And the answer is very simple, right? All you need to do is repeat the process that I mentioned 10 times, right? So 10 clients, each paying 1K a month, that's 10K a month, right? Or, right, you could do 20 clients and each paying $500 a month, right? That would be 10K a month again, right? If you want to be more competitive with the pricing, it doesn't really matter as long as you follow everything that I say. You should be able to be hitting that 10K a month, right? And the beauty of it is that this is a one-person business, right? You don't need to hire employees, so all of that is essentially, it's profit for you, right? There's not much costs that go into this. You just need to have some grit. You need to have some balls to start calling and pitching business owners, and then you just need to be like, you just need to be smart to be able to follow a simple step-by-step checklist. If you can do that, you're honestly like you're good to go. But that's pretty much it. If you have like questions that you want to ask me, feel free to send me an email. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram, and let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys soon.